Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Hannah Nguyen, and today's video dives into a topic that's as controversial as it is important. Masturbation and pornography. How do they truly affect men's health and well-being? This subject has been one of the most frequently requested in the comments, and after receiving so many thoughtful questions, I felt it was time to address it from a strictly medical and scientific perspective. Let me be clear from the start. This video is not about personal judgment, moral values, or religious views. My goal here is to present the facts, backed by research and clinical experience, so you can better understand how these behaviors may impact physical, emotional, and hormonal health. Is masturbation always harmless? How does porn consumption affect brain chemistry, sexual function, and mental health? And when do normal habits begin to turn into potential health risks? According to studies, over 90% of men have consumed pornographic content at some point in their lives. But what does that mean for long-term well-being? Stick with me until the end, and feel free to share your perspective in the comments below. Let's talk about this openly, with respect, and most importantly, with accurate information. And this incidence increased with the pandemic. Approximately 1/5 of Google searches, 20% are related to topics of pornography and masturbation. Whether considered wrong or not, masturbation is part of the sexual development for a large portion of men. And we need to know how to address this topic regardless of whether one approves of it or not. It is often a patient complaint that they cannot break free from the addiction, and often masturbation is pathologically associated with pornography consumption. A frequent question from patients is about the number of episodes. How much is harmful or not? Folks, just like with sexual intercourse, there isn't a right or a wrong number for masturbatory stimulation. This is closely related to the harm it causes in the patient's life, what the repercussions are in their daily routine. For example, when it becomes an addiction, an inappropriate behavior harming their social interactions. From the moment it causes harm to a man's routine and disrupts his social well-being, his relationship with his partner, or his well-being at work, it can indeed be considered an addiction. Furthermore, when the patient faces and identifies a certain difficulty in controlling the impulse, this is indeed considered an addiction. But what are the practical harms this can bring to a man's life? First, when masturbation is associated with pornography, the problem with pornography, especially excessive pornography, is that it is not reproducible in real life. Nowadays, the film industry in this context is sensationalistic. It presents stimuli to the patient, the consumer, the man who consumes it that are not reproducible. Sometimes the patient becomes visually addicted to it and starts stimulating himself so much that he loses sensitivity in relation to his own body. When a patient becomes addicted to pornography, they subject their brain to that stimulus, and often when having relations with their partner, cannot replicate it, and may reach states such as anorgasmia or delayed ejaculation. The opposite can also be true. Sometimes the patient is so accustomed to pornography that when they actually have contact with their partner, they may develop conditions like premature ejaculation, losing control over their own body's response. Another harm occurs when this act generates feelings of guilt in the patient. He blames himself for performing the act and blames himself for not being able to control the impulse. Just as this can be detrimental at home, at work, or in other places, the patient recognizes this, and being unable to control it begins to experience symptoms stemming from the guilt related to the lack of control over the situation. This topic, folks, is also reinforced by various scientific studies and theses, and all these works identify the same thing. Excessive stimulation is indeed harmful. It can cause both temporary and often permanent damage. So if a patient identifies that they have difficulty controlling this, that they need help returning to their usual habits, they need to seek out a urologist, a professional qualified to guide them. And often this support needs to be multidisciplinary, for example, with the help of a sexologist or a therapist. And speaking of natural solutions to recover your intimate health, a recent discovery has been helping thousands of men restore their potency and well-being without medication, without invasive procedures. It's a simple 100% natural method that takes only 7 seconds to apply. If you want to learn more, just point your phone's camera at the QR code appearing here on the screen or click the link pinned in the comments. It could be the first step to reclaiming your vitality in a practical and natural way. Now, let's continue with the video. There's also been a lot of talk recently about NoFap, which is a movement advocating for the cessation of masturbation. This line of reasoning, this type of behavior exists, widely explored in the American market. It's also an industry, and sometimes this can help. It's a slightly more complex topic. I'll make a video about it, but it can also assist in controlling this habit. If you found this video interesting and think it might help someone you know, please share this information. Also, subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications below so you stay updated on all our content. Best regards, and see you next time.